Partridge, and I just got back from an incredible 3 days at the Can Am Equine Expo show. And I had a lot going on there, and there's a lot of stuff to show you. I had a Harmony Horsemanship demo series that I did with Pentland and Mystique, and of course Kahleesi. They are my thoroughbreds for the Thoroughbred Makeover. Pentland and Mystique are my hopefuls for 2016, and of course Kahleesi won last year. I had a student that rode with Chris Delia in a clinic, and there were a lot of unique techniques that happened there. I got to ride with Susan Harris and Peggy Brown in a centered riding clinic, which was really nice and relaxing for my horse. And I competed in Extreme Cowboy racing for the first ever shootout race that they hosted here in Ontario. So there was definitely a lot that happened, and I'm going to break this footage up for you guys over the next couple weeks so that way it's not all thrown at you at once. And in today's video, what I wanted to do is start with the Extreme Cowboy racing and share with you my winning round. So basically the competition is where two riders go head to head, the exact same course, exact same time, just different sides of the arena. And basically it was all about speed. And we didn't know that heading into the competition because Extreme Cowboy racing in a real sort of race, there's an element of accuracy. So basically they don't want you just ripping around, running around on your horse. They want you to display horsemanship, and there is a score for horsemanship, and there's a score for each obstacle based on how well you do it. And we did know it would be a shootout race in that you'd be running head to head, so it was going to be more speed oriented. But what surprised me was that the penalty was only 2 seconds if you knocked an obstacle down. And the reason why I found that surprising is because then accuracy basically goes out the window, because if an obstacle is going to take more than 2 seconds, then there's no point in completing it. So basically the strategy became that if you started an obstacle and it wasn't going well, then to just abandon it and move on. So that was the strategy for most people, and it even got to the point where on the Friday night that most people were just sort of picking up the pole for the pole gate and just chucking it aside, which is not what Extreme Cowboy racing is about, and is a little bit disappointing. But at the end of the day, it's a competition, so you're making a strategy to win, so it makes sense for that strategy to include, I'll take the 2 second penalty hit and move on, because it is a difficult obstacle to do. The pole is heavy, it's awkward, it rolls, so you know, I can understand why that became a strategy for sure. And that is something that I did do in my winning round. I ended up on the wrong side of the pole, you'll see it, and ended up not completing that obstacle and taking the penalty for that. So this is something that I believe is in the talks, that it's going to change for next year if they do it, which I think is a really good thing, because accuracy should have been more important. 2 seconds, not enough, I don't think. And if it were to stay the same, I don't think that I would do a shootout race like that before, because it really amps your horse up, because you're not being as careful as you really should be, and your horse is just basically run. They almost kind of turn into like a barrel or a speed horse, which are horses that are kind of known for being a little bit crazy. No offense to you barrel racers or speed riders out there, but a lot of those horses, they basically see an arena shoot and they sort of run, and that's kind of what it was turning into. And Extreme Cowboy horses aren't like that, because they have to go sideways over obstacles. They have to do a lot of different things. So this was a very sort of different style competition for sure. It was a huge adrenaline rush. I was so nervous for it. So a big thing that I did heading into this is I didn't wear spurs, which I don't tend to use spurs when I ride anyways. And the other thing is that I rode bitless, and I ride bitless most of the time anyways, but these were two really important things for me heading into this race, because I knew that tensions were going to be high, that I was going to be tighter in my body, and that I might be sort of pulling them around turns, not intentionally, but I don't want to be ripping around on my horse's mouth. A horse's mouth is a really sensitive area to be, and I didn't want to be in there causing any damage by accident. So I rode bitless with no spurs, and tried to have a lot of fun, tried to be relaxed, tried to be subtle in my body, but it's a really intense experience for sure. So let's take a look at my winning round.
Here we go, we're up at the start line getting ready to go. You can see Dreamers waiting for my cue there. There's lots of energy, and off we go out on the correct lead. And as you watch this race, I want you to watch the difference between the two riders here. So I go up, I chip a stride there. I planned for one stride, ended up with two, so I ended up knocking the rail. The other rider is only just over the second jump there. We head into the gate, and you can kind of see He sort of jumps the gate. I realize that I can't do it in 2 seconds, so I drop the pole. As I back through there, I ended up putting the pole in an awkward spot, but luckily I had my thin line protection boots on, so it was okay for Dreamer. For the spins, again, they don't have to be proper pivots, so I was just trying to do it quickly and efficiently. Going to my sideways, Dreamer tossing his head a little bit at me there because I'm being tighter in my body than I want to be, which again is the reason why I didn't want to be using a bit, because I didn't want him sort of bracing on me and getting really stiff in his body because of what I was doing. So I wanted to minimize that by getting out of his mouth, which is a sensitive area, to do that. And when you watch some of the different rides, you can sort of see that even though we've got a bitless bridle on, I still have just as good control and things like that, and still a really nice ride. I thought it went overall really nicely. He tried really hard for me. Again, really adrenaline pumping, lots of action going on, and just the unfortunate fact that because of the 2 second penalty thing, that the strategy is to abandon an obstacle if it's not going well. But other than that, I thought it was a really good run, lots of fun, even though it was really intense. Okay, so now that we watched my round, it's time to watch Franny versus Lindsay. This is the student versus teacher round. They had a lot of fun of playing this up with the crowd. I'm with Kahleesi there on the left, and Franny's with Dreamer on the right. You can see we come into the jumps, into the pole gate. I go through, Kahleesi kind of looks at the barrel, and I accidentally tip it over. I was actually going to try to finish that obstacle, but as soon as I realized I was tipping over the barrel, I just abandon it and move on. Head into the backup. Franny made a really good attempt there at the barrel gate, but ends up knocking it down. And so right now I'm ahead of her, and Kahleesi's just not as hurried as Dreamer. She's just a little bit slower, but she's making really good effort and trying. And our pivots are actually halfway decent considering, the training that's gone into this, and she does a really nice side pass here. And Dreamer just is a lot better at hustling, and Dreamer and Franny are doing an excellent job, so she actually gets caught up, and now we're neck and neck. And I actually struggled with this darn gate because I had to back Kahleesi up to make room for the darn ball to go in. It's actually really hard and really awkward and heavy. But good for Franny, she's up on her horse, gets him turned around, and off she goes. And look at her playing up to the crowd too, eh? She's doing really, really well there. And then I'm just a few hairs behind her. So as we waited for them to announce the results there, couldn't be more proud of her. She's come such a long way. She's only 14 years old, only done a couple Extreme Cowboy races, and this was the first time riding in front of a crowd like this for either of us. And I'm just really proud of the horsemanship that she displayed. She's never yanking on Dreamer to try to make him do faster. She tries hard to do the obstacles and get them done. Just, I think, really displaying really nice riding skills there. Very, very happy with how she did. So it was a lot of fun, and you can see there's nice big smiles on our faces there. So she qualified to go into the next round. She ended up beating me. And off she goes with Dreamer. She does her jumps there. She did it nicely in one stride. Sorry about the fuzzy footage there. She comes into her barrel gate on the wrong side, which actually slows her down because she gets closer to the poles further away, and she makes a really good attempt at the gate, which a lot of the other riders weren't doing. So I'm really proud of her for trying to do that. And then Dreamer gets a little bit excited there, so she struggles at the backup. But what I love about what Franny does is she doesn't get mad at Dreamer. She just sort of stays calm and cool. She never yanks on his face or anything like that. And I'm just really happy that she rode like that. She gets into her box, does her turnarounds, and gets into her sideways and does a really nice job there and gets caught up. And then as they get down to the ball and slow feeder gates, Thomas, the other rider, they're so neck and neck that when he gets back on his horse, he actually doesn't fully get back on. He's Superman, so you're going to see that in a second where he goes Supermaning across the area. Franny had to turn around Dreamer, which cost her some time. So Thomas ended up winning this round, even though she had to sort of dodge around him here because he went across the line and came there. But overall, it was a lot of fun for Franny, and she did a really great job. And I just want to thank you guys for watching our Fun with Extreme Cowboy Racing.